Today I am sharing my January book haul. Welcome back to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl. Just like in my last video, I am still having construction in our house. So there might be some bangs and different background noises during this video, so that is what that is if that happens. I got a lot of books in January, which is kind of funny since I had just made in my reading goals, I had just talked about that this year I wanted to be better about not just buying any book that I heard about that sounded good and be more intentional with what I buy. And yet, I've got a large haul. First, I'm going to show the fiction books that I bought in January. So first, Becoming Hook by Mary Meckham. I bought this knowing I wanted to read it for the Once Upon a February readathon. That gave me the reason to buy it now. I've also had The Winter King by Christine Cohen in my cart for at least a year, if not more than that, and just going back and forth on it because I hadn't heard very many people talk about it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the last couple of weeks, I've heard multiple people talk about it. So I finally decided to grab it, and I will probably be using this in middle grade March. This one was definitely an impulse buy. This is Framed by James Ponti. I've never read anything by him. I have a group that I'm a part of on Facebook that is book reviews for Christians, and so people will bring up when a book has content that the group kind of collectively doesn't like to read about. And somebody mentioned this book and that they really liked it, and involves a young boy with mafia and art, and it just sounded really interesting, and so I decided to grab this. Also probably will be reading this in middle grade March. And then because I have the goal of reading all of the Sherlock Holmes stories, I decided I wanted to read them in the consecutive order. And so the next one that I would need to read, I didn't have. I might be the last one to this party, but I found Seawolf Press, and they publish books with the original covers. And so this says 1892 illustrated edition, and this would be the cover. Apparently that was the original cover. And then on the inside, it's just got a pretty normal type. They try to do the type inside as one that would have been common to the time period that it was published as well. And then they have the original illustrations in there. And so I saw that they had, this one was the next one I needed, and the sign of 4. And so I put this in my cart, and then I started noticing all the other ones they had. And they had all of the Sherlock Holmes books that I needed in these original covers. So I also got the case book of Sherlock Holmes, His Last Bow, The Valley of Fear, and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And so those will obviously be read throughout the whole year, but I was glad to have them now with all the matching covers. And then the rest of the books I got in January are nonfiction. The first one I decided to get was Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. I will be talking more about Under the Banner of Heaven in my January wrap-up, but I read that in January. It was one of the first books I read this year, and I really wanted to read more by him. And so I looked up a few of his books, and this seemed to be one of the most popular ones. So I decided for my second book by him, I would read this one. And if I like this one as much as I liked Under the Banner of Heaven, then I will get more. I have my Sunday series where I'm talking about No Man Knows My History by Fawn Brodie. After I'm done with that book in a few weeks, I'm going to continue that series. A couple of the videos will be my testimony. A couple of the videos will be other book reviews. And so I got this book, Devil's Gate by David Roberts. This one was recommended to me, and it is about the Mormon migration to Utah with the hand carts. And they said that this should be required reading for anyone that is reading the same things I'm reading. So I decided I'm going to give this a try, and this will be one of the ones I review for my Sunday videos. In my February TBR video last week, I talked about how in February people are reading books that they were inspired to read by Jennifer Brooks, and that I was going to be reading Napoleon's Plunder. I put a picture of it up on the screen because I didn't have it yet. It was on its way here, but I have it now. So this is the Napoleon's Plunder. This is by Cynthia Saltzman, and it's pretty cool because it's going to give me all the information, but it has the pictures of the art that it's talking about inside of it as well. I wanted to read a book on the Holy Spirit this year, and I've already read this one. I just finished it yesterday. So I got The Silent Shepherd from John MacArthur. I also picked up this one, Another Gospel by Elisa Childers. This one has been recommended by a lot of people, so I picked this one up as well. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to this one, probably sometime in the next couple of months. And then I knew that Emma at the Bookish Princess was going to be using The Pilgrim Regress by C.S. Lewis in April for her book club. I liked this cover better than most of them I've seen online, and so I picked this up. And then the last book that I got in January was Forever Young by Haley Mills. This is her memoir, and this was recommended really randomly to me. This was a huge impulse buy. I don't usually buy books immediately the second I hear about them, but the person was talking about this, and the things that they said about it made me want to read it. And I loved Haley Mills when I was growing up. I'm hoping to have it finished before the end of January. And so if I do, this will be in the January wrap up later this week. If not, it'll be in February, but I'm almost halfway through it. I wasn't expecting to get that many this month, but as you can see, most of them are for either the year-long challenge that I'm doing or for challenges coming up very soon. I really think I'm going to have most of these books read within the next couple of months, besides the Sherlock Holmes one, since that will be spread out more throughout the year. I think this is the first time I've done a book haul on here, but I plan on trying to do it every month if I've bought books that month, which, you know, I'm sure I will have bought books every month. Let me know if you bought any new books this month, or if any of these are books that you are wanting to read or have already read, and let me know what you think of them.